higher. So lucky you have recently visited the region and with able to register, and situations of refugees in the Bangladesh camps are already dire. So lucky you have recently visited the region and and you were at the dialogue as well. And if you'd like to provide your thoughts on situations in the camp as well as your observations throughout the dialogue, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks to Women's Peace Network and all the member states and everyone in the room. I think for me, again, this is just a right time for us to have the conversations on refugees and especially new arrivals in Cox's Bazar. I lived myself personally in the camps in Bangladesh for 6 years, and I was there 2 times this year. I visited in February, and I was there just 2 weeks ago where I attended the Stakeholder dialogue the government of Bangladesh hosted in Cox's Bazar. As everybody has already mentioned, we did receive tens of thousands of people again were forced to flee from Myanmar to Bangladesh after the recent conflict between the Arakani army and the military. And I think, just to mention this, none of these people unfortunately arrived in Cox's Bazar with their full family or complete family. All of them, either 2 members survived from each family, or maybe 1 person survived from each family, or maybe none of them survived from some of the families as well. So they arrived injured, they arrived with needs for medical, they arrived with needs for shelter, they arrived with needs for clothing, for example, hygiene kits, for example. And the situations, when we did meet them in person, the situation compared to my arrival in 2017 in August, a week before the festival, I think their situation was worse than when I felt myself as a kid back in 2017. So again, just to mention the current situations in Cox's Bazar, first of all, their shelter is not covered or funded by any of the donors or organizations in refugee camps, especially for the new arrivals. They either share a tiny shelters of their existing families in the camps, or they find an empty spot to sleep, like masjid or mosques where people pray 5 times a day. And the only place they find to sleep is during the night, and during the day they have to be outside somewhere, including women and children. Like masjid or mosques where people pray 5 times a day. And the only place they find to sleep is during the night, and during the day they have to be outside somewhere, including women and children. The funding, again, is the huge crisis and one of our top concerns when it comes to refugees in Bangladesh. We know it's going away. Everything is cutting down, especially in November and December this year. And that's one of our main concerns. When I was in Bangladesh in March, World Food Program was already preparing their announcement to cut down ration food in one individual per month to go down from $12 to $6, which is more than half, to survive on a very minimum already. And that was my biggest concern, because we have seen 2 times of food cuts in the past. One time it went down from $12 to $8, and the other time it went down from $12 to $10. And we have seen hundreds of people, especially women and children, have taken risks on a tiny boats to travel all the way to neighboring countries, as my colleague Aziz already mentioned, to Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand, because they expect a better life into those neighboring countries, and that's the only solution and only option they see when they're no longer able to survive in the camps. So speaking to funding, I think that's again one of our top priority and main concerns coming up, which we hope to highlight tomorrow at the conference. The other main concerns from the new arrivals, again, we do know, and we've seen the evidence, and it's public already, it's open secret, the crimes, intentional crimes being committed by the AA in Arakani state against the Rohingya population. People are just not safe in Myanmar. And the reason to that, and the clear answer is, we still receive people, at least one individual fleeing to Bangladesh in a week. At least one person, at least one family. And we still have people at the border area who are trying to find ways to cross the border and seek refuge to Bangladesh. So thanks to Bangladesh government for hosting us for decades long, and it's still they are providing shelter to the new arrivals. But I think it is time, it is not too late for us to have the tensions back from international international community back to our people, our crisis in the camps. And the humanitarian crisis, both in Rakhine State and in the camps, must be addressed without any delay. That's the only medium-term solution we need from you. But we also focused on the long-lasting solution, which is repatriation, which never happens tomorrow or anytime soon.